Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Ram 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 Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Ram 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 Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Ram 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 Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Ram 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 Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Ram 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 Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Ram 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 Ram, Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna, Ram 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 Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Ram 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 Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Ram 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 Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Ram 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 Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Ram 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 Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Ram 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 Ram, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Ram 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 Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Ram 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 Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Ram 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 Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Ram 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 Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Ram 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 Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Ram 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 Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Ram 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 Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Ram 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 Ram, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Ram, Ram Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram. Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram. Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram. Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, 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 Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Ram, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna.
Andar ako ikamaniya Vishesha Shobha
Srila Prabhupada ki. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sadma Banda Mui Sabdhana Mate Banda Mui Sabdhana Mate जहर प्रसादे भाई ए भव थोर्या जा कृष्ण प्राप्ति हो जहाँ होते कृष्ण प्राप्ति हो जहाँ होते गुरुमुख पद्मा वाक्य चित्ते खोर्या क्या आर न खोरी हो मने आशा आर न खोरी हो मने आशा श्री गुरु चरणे रति ऐसे उत्तम गति श्री गुरु चरणे रति ऐसे उत्तम गति जय प्रसादे पूरे सर्वशा जय प्रसादे पूरे सर्वशा चक्षुदान दिलो जय जन्म जन्म प्रभु से चक्षुदान दिलो जय जन्म जन्म प्रभु से दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशित दिव्य ज्ञान हृदय प्रकाशित प्रेम भक्ति जहाँ होते अब जब विनाश जाते प्रेम भक्ति जहाँ होते अब जब विनाश जाते मेरे गान जहर चरित मेरे गान जहर चरित श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु अधम जनर बंधु श्री गुरु करुणा सिंधु अधम जनर बंधु लोकनाथ लोक जीवाना लोकनाथ लोक जीवाना हा प्रभु कोर दया देहो मोरे पर छाया Prabhu Kora Daya Deha More Parachaya Ebe Jasha Gushuk Tribhuvana Srila Prabhupada Patita Pavana Srila Prabhupada Patita Pavana Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada ki Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nivashesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Giridhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Giridhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Giridhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Gopal Chapala. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Yogijana Vallabha Girivaradari Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanacharya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Vishva Paramahansa Prabhupada Gacharya Satada CC with AC Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Namachar Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Paramsagho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopita Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadip Dham Ki Jai Ganga Jamuna Tulsi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai Go Premanandi All glories to some of the devotees, all glories to some of the devotees, all glories to some of the devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Guranga, all glories to Sri Prabhupada. Okay. 51. Reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, chapter 17, verse 51. Arpapi bhaktadveshi tore na udarimu. Kote jama e mate hidaya kauryamu. Okay. Translation. O sinful person, envious of pure devotees, I shall not deliver you. Rather, I shall have you bitten by these germs for many millions of years. Purport, we should note herein that all our sufferings in this material world, especially from disease, are due to our past sinful activities. And of all sinful activities, actions directed against a pure devotee out of sheer envy are considered extremely severe. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted Gopal Chapala to understand the cause of his suffering. Any person who disturbs a pure devotee engaged in broadcasting the holy name of the Lord is certainly punished like Gopal Chapala. This is the instruction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. As we shall see,
one who offends a pure devotee can never satisfy Chaitanya Mahaprabhu unless and until he sincerely regrets his offense and thus rectifies it. So this story is concerning offense against a devotee. And this person who was proud and disrespectful, Gopal Chapala, was envious or resentful because Srivas Thakur every evening would have kirtan with Lord Chaitanya and his followers in his house. And he would lock the door so that outsiders could not get in. And all night, the devotees would be doing kirtan and having ecstatic symptoms and having pastimes. So he was outside and he was very envious and thought, well, why can't I come in or other people come in? This was at the beginning of the Sankirtan movement. Lord Chaitanya previously had not shown signs of being a devotee, but rather a logician. And he would like to defeat people by his intelligent argument and logic. Then he went to Gaya and he met his a Vaishnava Diksha Guru. He took initiation and his Diksha Guru told him to chant the holy name. So then suddenly he became a great devotee. And when he came back to Mayapur, Navadvip, suddenly he was a devotee who only was dedicated to Krishna and chanting Krishna's name. So at that time, all the great devotees who had previously thought, oh, Lord Chaitanya, what a shame, he's such a nice person, but he's so much involved in logic and everything, they were very, they were overjoyed that suddenly he had changed. And Lord Chaitanya then began the Sankirtan movement. So all the devotees of Navadvip and Mayapur joined together, and in Srivas Pandit's house, they would have these kirtans every night. And this went on for about 1 year, but they would lock the doors. So other people outside didn't know what was happening. There was noise going on inside. They were very curious. They couldn't figure out what was happening. And they were wondering why the doors are locked and nobody else can get in. So, of course, after 1 year, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself was doing kirtan one day, and then he said, I'm no longer getting bliss. And then he said, well, I'm no longer getting bliss is because we're doing this kirtan in a closed environment where no one can take part. And the whole purpose of kirtan is everybody should hear, everybody should take part. So from now on, you should go out and tell everybody to chant the holy name. So in that way, he no longer had a locked door, and kirtan was open for everyone. But during this period when the doors were locked, then we have a person like this Gopal Chapala, who was very envious. So his insult was a little bit indirect, we could say, because he just put some paraphernalia for worshipping Durga Devi in front of the locked door. So the worship of Durga Devi, of course, is ultimately Vedic and whatever, but also a lot of the worshippers of Durga Devi and Kali especially take part in more condemned acts like this, especially the tantrics. And they take liquor and meat and fish and whatever. So by putting all these items in front of his door, he hoped to criticize Srivas Pandit and say he's this low caste person who's involved in drinking and whatever like that, worshiping Durga Devi in a very tamasic way. And then Srivas Pandit saw the things out there, and he knew somebody was causing some mischief. So he said, okay, yes, I'm a worshiper of Durga Devi, etc. So he just tolerated the offense. But then what happened is then Chapala Gopala got leprosy. That's what's described here. There was worms on his body and whatever. His body started rotting away, and he was in distress. So he went to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and asked for forgiveness like this. And so this is Lord Chaitanya's reply. Lord Chaitanya was not calm. He was very angry. And so he began to chastise this person. And so he said, you're a sinful person. envious of pure devotees, and I won't deliver you. And you'll be bitten by germs by millions of years. So, we know, of course, that Lord Chaitanya is most merciful, etc. But sometimes we do see anger in Lord Chaitanya. For instance, when Jagai and Madai attacked Nityananda and Haridas Thakur, very great devotees. And of course, Nityananda is also a form of Balaram. And they actually wounded Nityananda on his head, and his blood was flowing out. So when Lord Chaitanya heard about that, he became very angry, and he went to punish Jagai and Madai also. But then Nityananda intervened, and then finally Lord Chaitanya blessed the two rascals, and they became great devotees. So this is another example here of Lord Chaitanya being very angry. So in the purport, Prabhupada explains that yes, the Lord is very merciful, and even if you commit offense against the Lord really doesn't become angry. Why should he? Because it doesn't matter to him. But he does become angry when you offend the devotee. And therefore, we find the great anger of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this case. Even though he's the most merciful, nevertheless, you offend the devotee, then you'll get some very bad results. So Prabhupada in the purport also mentions that our suffering in this world is due to our past sinful activities. The suffering, of course, in this case was the person getting leprosy, and then having to suffer that for the rest of his life. And in general, sinful activities will cause suffering in future lifetimes. So sinful activities refers to, ultimately when we talk about papa or sin, it means, of course, we're breaking the scriptural laws and doing things we shouldn't do. But when we look at all these things, they're actually violence against other living entities, which is unjustified. That's what a sin is. So it may just be verbal, maybe physical, it may be killing the living entity or whatever. Somehow we interfere with other living entities, and then this becomes a sin. There are, of course, exceptional cases. So it's not always sinful. We have to kill plants to eat or whatever. You have to survive somehow or other. You have to drink water. In the water, there may be some bacteria, and you're swallowing them or whatever. So just to live, there's some sinful activity permitted. Those don't cause much of a problem. Still, there is a little problem, but not so much. But when it becomes unnecessary sin, we don't have to harm another living entity. We don't have to kill another living entity, yet we do. Then that becomes a problem for us, and we have to suffer greatly for that. So that's sin. So then we have aparad, Vaishnava aparad. It's also a sin because it's violence against a devotee. But it's the worst type of violence because it's a violence against the most exalted person. So according to the level, the sin is less or more. So you take a lower living entity like a plant and you kill the plant. It's less than if you kill an animal because the consciousness is lower. And among animals, there's lower animals and higher animals. So a worm is an animal, but then if you kill a dog, it's much more sinful. Or you kill a peacock, it's more sinful. And then if you get to a cow, it's most sinful among all the animals because the cow is considered to be the topmost animal. So in this way, we get various grades of sin, and according to that, then you suffer more as a result of the violence. And then higher than the animals is the human being. So if you commit violence against a human being, that's even worse than the animals. But then among human beings, we have categories also from lower to higher. So we have the Malechas, the Chandalas, we have the Sudras, and the Vaishyas, the Kshatriyas, the Brahmanas, and we talk about you kill a Brahmana, that is so much sinful, but go around Tulsi Devi, you can get rid of the sin of killing a Brahmana. So the sin of a Brahmana, killing a Brahmana is considered very, very great, because he's the best of the human beings. But higher than the Brahmana is the devotee, the Vaishnava. So if any way you commit violence against him, that's the worst type of sin. So that's what we call the Vaishnava aparad. So you'll get suffering, as in the case here we see that Chapala Gopal got leprosy, so that's a reaction. So definitely we get that type of reaction. But there's also a worse reaction as far as devotees are concerned, and that is that if you are a devotee and you commit the Vaishnava aparad, then your bhakti gets influenced. It decreases or may get destroyed as a result of the aparad. So that's a more serious result for the devotee. They don't care so much about physical reaction, but if their bhakti disappears, that's really a big tragedy, because it may take many lifetimes before they can start bhakti again. So that's the most serious effect, that it actually destroys bhakti when it becomes very, very serious, and thus is considered to be one of the greatest aparads. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu calls this particular aparad, Vaishnava aparad, to be the mad elephant offense. So the elephant, of course, is a huge creature, and they're nice animals. They're very, very loving in one way, but they're also uncontrollable. And then sometimes, especially the male elephants, go mad, and you cannot control them. And they're very unpredictable, and they may do anything because they're so big. They can tear up things and trample on things, and no one can prevent it. So we have the little creeper of bhakti, planted by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, and then carefully we are the gardener, and we water the plant with kirtan, devotional activities, and gradually the little seed sprouts, and then it grows little leaves like this, grows up like this. And we have to keep taking care of it, give enough sunlight, water it nicely with the devotional activities, keep out the wild animals and whatever, the goats and the cows that start chomping on the leaves. So we have to care for it. We had to pull out the weeds, the anarthas, etc. Yeah. But if the mad elephant comes along, then we don't have any defense. Just smashes your plant or tears it up with his trunk or whatever. In other words, it's a very destructive type of offense. And when it happens, then your plant gets severely damaged, or it may get destroyed. So that's the problem with Vaishnava aparad, why it's so serious. Why is it so serious? From the Lord's point of view, the devotee is the highest person because the Lord is more affectionate towards the devotee than to any other living entity, including human beings. Now, the Brahman, of course, is also a form of the Supreme Lord, and Brahmins are dear to the Lord, even Krishna. He worships the Brahmanas, etc. But if one is a Vaishnava, who may be a Brahman, or may not be a Brahman, or is a Vaishnava, the Lord has affection for the devotee more than anyone else. And so, if you offend the Vaishnava, then the Lord is very, very angry. Because he doesn't care about himself, but he cares about the object of his affection. Just like in the material world, you have a husband and a wife, and then if they're very affectionate, and then somebody insults the wife, then the husband gets real angry, uncontrolled anger. He'll attack or defend, family and wife and whatever, because that affectionate relationship. So, Supreme Lord is very affectionate towards his devotees, and if you start offending them, then big problem, because the Lord does not tolerate that, and then you end up with all problems. So not only you get the bad karmas, which is as a result of, violence, but the bhakti will disappear, and it's very difficult to cultivate that bhakti again. So that's the problem with the Vaishnava aparad. So the aparad, once it's committed, of course, if one is a demon, they're likely to commit this aparad anyway, because they don't like devotees. So this kind of ensures that they'll never become a devotee. The more they persecute the devotees, then the more the Lord hates them. And so it's very difficult for them even to develop faith and practice bhakti because of that. But if you are a devotee, then the possibility is that if the aparad is serious, then your bhakti begins to decrease and decrease and decrease. It may even disappear. Now, the problem with the decreasing bhakti is, as your bhakti decreases, your taste to perform bhakti becomes less. But the only solution to the problem of decreased bhakti is to do more bhakti. But you don't have a desire to do the bhakti. So you're helpless, more or less. Huh? So if you commit the aparad, Vaishnava aparad, it's very difficult to get into that situation. Because you lose the taste, you don't want to do bhakti anymore. No enthusiasm for chanting, etc. So the remedy for this is to constantly chant. But you don't have any taste for chanting, and then it's so difficult. Unless you really force yourself to do it. Huh? It's very, very difficult. So it's very problematic. But anyway, one has to, if one realizes that one wants to perform bhakti and continue, then one has to follow the procedure. So one is that one has to continually chant. But that's not all. And Prabhupada mentions this in the end of the purport. One should regret his offense and rectify it. So one has to show sincere regret for the offense. That's one thing. And in other places, in Bhagavatam, and especially by Vishnu Chakravarti in Madhurya Kadambini, he says, and in Harinam Chintamani also, he says, the procedure is that you have to feel sincere regret, realizing the greatness of the devotee and how affectionate Krishna is for the devotee. That's one thing. The other is, then, if possible, you have to approach that person who you've offended, and you must apologize. And if you don't do that, then your aparad, the effect of the aparad, is going to stay there, and you cannot advance. So you have to follow the procedure and correct it by apologizing to that particular devotee with sincerity. And the devotee, if he's a good devotee, then he won't mind and he will forgive you. And once that forgiveness is there, then the effect of the aparad becomes much less, and it becomes easier to rectify oneself by continual chanting. If one avoids that process, even one knows it's the proper thing to do, doesn't want to do it, then the aparad simply continues and becomes worse. So, aparad is very bad, Vaishnava aparad is the worst, and there is a remedy, but you have to go to the devotee and get his forgiveness or whatever. So the process works because if one goes to that devotee and the devotee says, okay, I tolerate this, I forgive you, then this will pacify the Lord. The devotee, my devotee, is not disturbed by any of this. So therefore, the Lord also will lose his anger and whatever, and he won't try to interfere with that person's devotion anymore. The other aspect why this is so serious, offending the devotee, is that the devotees are the cause of bhakti. They are also the cause of faith, which is the qualification for bhakti. In other words, we cannot do bhakti unless we have conviction that Krishna exists and scriptures are true or whatever. But we don't even get that faith unless we get mercy of devotees, which is not really, it's not because we have faith or whatever in the devotees, but accidental faith. In other words, what we call agata sukriti. The devotees spread bhakti around the world, and we somehow contacted accidentally. And by that we get a little bit of faith, and that grows over many births until it becomes external in the sense, or conscious, so that we can begin to accept the process of bhakti. But even that faith is caused by mercy of devotees. Once we get the faith, then we have to start bhakti. How do we get it? We have to go to devotees, and we get the message, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and scripture. So devotees are instrumental for the faith. They're instrumental for starting the bhakti. And they're also instrumental in all of the progress of bhakti all the way up to prema. There's never a point where there is no association of devotees. And so the mercy of devotees is constant all the way to prema. The aid of devotees is very necessary. So if we interrupt that process by insulting a devotee, then we more or less cut off our link to Krishna. The means of our progress and our salvation is cut off completely by offense. we may say, well, I'll offend this devotee, but I'll associate with this devotee. That doesn't work too well because Krishna is clever and he knows that your offensive mentality is still there. So committing offense against one devotee is committing offense against every devotee, more or less. Because the very idea is that the devotees are the source of bhakti, and Krishna's made this arrangement in the material world. And if you're trying to cut this whole thing, then Krishna says, okay, if you don't want it, don't take it. You don't have any relationship with devotees. You won't have any relationship with bhakti at all. So, therefore, the offending the devotee is serious because it interrupts the whole process of spreading bhakti to the jivas in the material world. The Lord is very merciful, and he wants to save all the jivas. And the way the Lord does this is mainly through the devotees. He comes as avatar, certainly, and he personally, teaches and inspires everyone, performs pastimes, and helps deliver. But the Lord is not there all the time. At most, he will appear once or twice in a yuga. So Lord Chaitanya has come 500 years ago. The next appearance will be Kalki. That's 400,000 years later. So in the meantime, who's going to save us? It's not going to be Krishna coming, no. No form of the Lord, no avatar. So it's the devotees that fill up all the gaps between the avatars. They're the ones that perform the Lord's work. So the Lord gives his mercy directly when he comes. When the devotees are there, the devotees get the mercy of the Lord. And then the devotees distribute that mercy to other jivas. So that's the significance of the devotee. The devotee, Prabhupada says the devotee is the transparent medium. So he is the medium of Krishna's mercy. So this is how Krishna's mercy manifests in the world, through the devotee. Like electricity. How does electricity spread out? We have a generator. We have light bulbs. But the electricity just doesn't jump over to all the light bulbs in the world. It has to go through a wire. So we connect all the light bulbs to wires, and the wires end up going to a generator, and then the electricity comes through the wire. So the wire is the medium for the conduction of electricity. So in the same way, Krishna's mercy and bhakti are conducted through the devotee into the material world. So they're like the little wires connecting us, Krishna's, energy, spiritual energy to the material world through the devotees. Right? So if you don't take up the wire, then you don't get the bhakti. So you have to contact that spiritual energy through the devotees. That's the main means of getting that energy of bhakti and mercy. And so if we offend the devotees, then we don't get the opportunity anymore. So devotees are very, very important for doing that. So devotees are the suitable conductor, which means because they have devotion, they are capable of transmitting Krishna's devotion into the material world. The more they have, the better you are a conductor. So therefore we have various grades of devotees. We have Kanishya devotees and Madhyamas and Uttamas. Uttamas are very pure, very exalted, on the level of bhava or prema. So they're the best conductors of all, but very rare. The normal conductor is the Madhyama, and they're the main preachers in the material world. But they're not the highest, but still they conduct. Very good. The energy comes up. Kanishas are also devotees, but very little of the Shakti comes through because they're so low. So there's like in the material world we have wire. So the best wire for the common wire is copper wire. So conducts. I don't know how much goes through. I don't know how much percent goes through. I don't know, but there are better wires like silver wire or gold wire. Very good. So you get much more electricity, but it's too expensive. Very rare. So the Madhyama devotees are like the copper wires. The Uttamas are like the gold wires and the silver wires. But you don't find them very much. Not very common. So we accept the copper wires and the Madhyamas. And so the Madhyamas do the preaching in the material world, and they spread out the bhakti. And so we say, okay, I only like Uttamas. I don't care about Madhyamas. It's like copper wire or whatever. We're not getting all the energy. offend all the devotees. Then you're rejecting the main means by which we get out of this material world. So Krishna does not appreciate that. So we have to respect the devotees. We respect all devotees, even those who are the lowest stage. We give respect because even those devotees are better than all the other human beings and all the living entities. And we're supposed to respect all living entities because they're all servants of Krishna somehow or other, directly or indirectly. But if one is a devotee, it's much more direct. And the more advanced we are as devotees, of course, it becomes even more direct. So if you offend the devotees, the greater offense is for the greater devotee. You offend the greater devotee, the greater is the offense. But even if it's the lesser devotee, still, we have to be very, very careful. It's going to cause some problem for us. So in this way, we have to, if offense is there, then we have to rectify it some or other as a devotee. Otherwise, it begins to destroy our bhakti, and we lose our enthusiasm for performing devotional service. Okay, any question there? Mm-hmm.
That's still sort of
Inadvertent disturbance of another devotee or offense or whatever. Technically, yes, as we see in the case of Rupa Goswami, and when he laughed and then the sage was there who was crippled and he took offense because he thought that Rupa Goswami was laughing at him, but it wasn't the intention at all of Rupa Goswami. He wasn't even aware he was there. It was accidental. But then the sage became upset and angry, so then it had some effect, and his taste for hearing Krishna's pastimes decreased. So we can say even it's unintentional, then it will be some effect. But more serious effect will be when it is done with full awareness and some hatred or envy or something like that. Then it becomes much more serious.
So if we notice someone's disturbed by us, should we try to, we can't really change people's minds, but try to rectify that in some way, give service?
Well, if you notice it happening, then maybe there's some reason for it. I don't know. It could be a reason for it, that you're doing something strange or whatever. So we should do that. If it's impossible to figure out, then maybe it's better avoid them so we don't disturb them. That's all.
Thank you for the class, Maharaj. My question is, what is the connection between etiquette and offenses?
Etiquette
Yeah.
and
Vaishnava.
offenses.
Yeah. What is the connection?
Well, etiquette, I think we could say, is the proper sadachara, I suppose we could say, is etiquette, or proper conduct. Right. Now, we have proper conduct in the material world and proper conduct in the varnashram system, and then we have proper conduct among devotees. So they're somewhat similar, but also there's some differences between that. Included in proper conduct in general, in varnashram system, we will say that proper conduct is to avoid sinful activities which are described in scriptures, things you don't do. So you avoid all sinful activities, and you also do those things which are considered punya, those things which are recommended for gathering punya so you get another birth, etc. So that's the varnashramic slant on what is sadachar, proper conduct. So that's in relation to other human beings, and of course, rest of the world, animals, plants, world, etc. And thus there are rules of conduct for, how you treat your animals. If you have your animals and you don't feed them water and you eat your meal, it's considered to be a sin. Don't let the animals suffer. Give them their water, give them their food, and before you eat. So you have to respect even the animals. And even the plants, of course. We don't unnecessarily cut down trees or plants or whatever, just for no reason at all. If there's a reason, fine, but if there isn't, we don't do it. So there is, modes of conduct like that, sadachar in general, which is concerning pop and punya. When we come to the devotees, then, of course, the same rules apply because we are trying to be respectful to all living entities. And one of the angas of bhakti is don't disturb other living entities. So as much as possible, we follow all of those rules and avoid the sins, whatever. We may not do all of the punyas because many of those punyas or recommended activities may be for material advancement and going to Svargaloka. So we are not obligated to follow those type of activities. Some of the punya activities are more practical for controlling our senses, maintaining our purity, etc. So we follow those, like rules of cleanliness, etc. This is all considered sadachar. So the devotees will follow many of the rules of conduct in the varnashram system, but some of them they may not put emphasis on because it has to do more with kamya, karmas, doing some activity to get pious results for going to Svargaloka, etc. So that's one type of achar. But then the other achara of the devotee, of course, is things related to bhakti. So the sadachara of the devotee is particularly with other devotees, and we have the sadachara. So this is how we conduct ourselves among devotees, how we associate with devotees. And as was mentioned in Upadeshamrita, we have you feed each other, you talk to each other, give knowledge to each other, you give gifts to each other, whatever. So you have friendly relationships among devotees. So that's the conduct among devotees. But then there's other conduct with lesser devotees. We should teach them and instruct them. Superior devotees, we should serve them and follow their instructions. So this is part of the conduct among devotees, the sadachara or etiquette among devotees. So in that way, the emphasis in devotee sadachara is upon our devotional activities and relationships with devotees. Was that the only thing? What's the other aspect of the question? With aparads. Yeah. So aparads are a sin because they're also violent against other living entities, but it's directed towards Krishna, Krishna aparad, like the seva aparads, the deity offenses, fighting in front of the deity or offering impure items to the deity, so you're offending the Lord. So that's one type of aparad. So against the Lord, he's the highest living entity. So that's bad. That's called seva aparads. Then we have aparads against the process of bhakti. We consider that bhakti is just a material process to go to Svargaloka. It's also in the nam aparads, like that. Or to consider that the glories of the holy name are exaggeration. It's just, nice words, but it's not really true. So we consider, the potency of the name useless, etc. That's aparad. So offense against the process of bhakti and chanting the holy name. And then we have offense against the devotee. So among the nam aparads, we also have to sadhu ninda, to criticize the devotees, or guru or avagya, to disrespect the guru. So that's Vaishnava aparad. So there's aparad against Krishna, aparad against the name and the process of bhakti, aparad against devotees, and lower devotees and higher devotees, etc. So these are also sins, but as Prabhupada mentions in the prayer part, are actually very serious sins because they influence our bhakti also. You can get the bad material results, the bad karma, in terms of suffering from those, but the worst result is that you also start destroying your bhakti. And of those, then the most serious one is the offense against the devotees. That's the most serious one of all. As I said, Krishna doesn't. If you offend Krishna, he's not so much concerned about that. But if you offend the devotees, that becomes more serious. So therefore, the bhakti really suffers from that.
Conversely, what are the indicators that our bhakti creeper is maybe?
What's the indicators of?
Yeah, that our bhakti creeper.
Well, I suppose it's like the gardeners. We have any gardeners here? They're growing their plants and their tomatoes and their watermelons and whatever like that. So If you're completely ignorant and careless, of course, you won't care about what's happening to your plants. You won't water them properly and just, let them grow. But if you're a little concerned about your garden, that is your plants and their well-being, then you'll inspect them as often as possible, and you'll see if they're growing regularly, or if they got stopped somehow or other, or if the bugs are attacking the leaves, or something's happening and they're all withering away or drying up. So one of the same with bhakti. Bhakti is also like the plant, and it grows leaves, and then it grows a flower, and then it grows a fruit. The flower is bhava, and the fruit is prema. So we're not that far, so we don't know about that part. When we're growing the plant, we can't see all that developing, but at least we can see the leaves. So, and if the plant is being unhealthy, then we should be able to detect that. So, that growing the plant means increase of attraction for the processes of bhakti, including chanting, and attraction for Krishna, his qualities, and his pastimes. So growth of bhakti will mean that we become more attracted to all of these things. If the plant isn't growing, it means we don't develop attraction. So as our attraction increases, that means our bhakti is increasing, the plant is increasing. So it means, okay, we're not committing offense, etc. If the plant somehow doesn't happen for a long time, it's like stunted, something is wrong. So it could be aparads. It just could be inattention. We're not just, chanting properly. We're not attentive. We don't hear properly. We don't, do regular activities or whatever. Another problem is the weeds grow up. That's all due to inattention. So anartas, which are there, and they have to get destroyed by anarta nivritti, the process of bhakti. If we don't do bhakti properly, then the anarta nivritti does not take place, and the anartas start to first surface. Lust, anger, greed, deceit, and whatever, they may start creeping in. They were kind of there under the surface, and hopefully by the process of bhakti, they'll get destroyed. But if we don't do the bhakti properly, then they start to spring up again. So then, we know that if you have too many weeds in your garden, they take all the nourishment away, and the plant doesn't grow. So we get all these anartas growing and growing, then the bhakti becomes less, we have less attraction, etc. So one of the main elements of ways we can detect is the bhakti is not growing. There's the taste for Krishna is not growing. That would be one of the main symptoms.
Hare Krishna, Maharaj. I just want to ask a few questions about Tulsi Adi, or about Tulsi actually, because it's a quite intriguing part of our process. We do it every day. My first question would be, where did it come from along the Vaishnav line? And the second one is that we seem to do it every day, and you just said it sort of nullifies all the offences, even the sense of killing a Brahmana, but we just seem to do it automatically, that we water Tulsi and then we just move on to the prayers, and it's just like almost a ritualistic thing. I don't know if we really realise the full potential of it, so maybe you could explain a bit better.
Well, origins, of course, is that we'll see in scriptures there's glorification of Tulsi in different scriptures, including Hari Bhakti Vilas, and even in the Bhagavatam you'll see the descriptions of Vishnu in Vaikuntha, and there's Tulsi there. He has Tulsi garlands, etc. And then if we go to the pastimes of Krishna, we see Tulsi takes the form of Vrinda Devi, and Vrinda Devi is a very intimate associate of Radha and Krishna, and she's the one that kind of plans out the kunjas and all this stuff, arrangements of the kunjas and decorations and everything, so that there's facility for their pastimes. So she's got a general fame, of course, as being very dear to the Supreme Lord in the form of Vishnu, but with Krishna then, Radha Krishna particularly, she's a very intimate association as being serving in the pastimes. So in our song that we sing in the morning, it's more like, intimate pastimes of Radha and Krishna. When will I see the, forms of Radha Krishna? When will I become one of the dasis, servants? So we're praying to Vrinda Devi for, entering into the spiritual pastimes of Radha and Krishna. That's there from Scripture itself. But among the Gaudiyas, it becomes quite prominent. It's not that it's absent in other sampradayas also. So you'll find in the Madhva Sampradaya they worship Tulsi Devi also, or in Sri Sampradaya also they worship Tulsi Devi. But we do it in a very regular way. Some of them also do, but we do it with a connection to Radha Krishna particularly. Then, because she is an exalted devotee, serving Radha and Krishna in the spiritual world, by worshiping her, we get her mercy, then we get to the spiritual world, and consequently, all of the obstacles to that, including sinful activities, karmas, anarthas, get destroyed. But that's like a secondary result. So we perform bhakti not to destroy our karmas, but to get prema. But karmas are automatically destroyed. So even if you just chant the holy name of Narayan once, as Ajamil does, you get rid of all your karmas, past, present, future, including sins of killing brahmanas or whatever. So there's many ways in which we can, destroy the sins and whatever, just by chanting the holy name. But to encourage people who are in a lower level and who are suffering in the material world and whatever, sometimes we have these statements, taking the Charnamrita or circumambulating Tulsi Devi is going to destroy even the greatest of sins like killing a brahmana, etc. But technically it's not really important for us because our goal is prema, and automatically all the sins get destroyed anyway. But for people who are, in the material world, then they may worry about all their karmas, etc. So these verses are there to encourage them to, do these devotional activities.
Thank you for your talk. I am finding myself very intrigued by Kalki. What can you tell us about
Kalki?
Yeah.
Well, we don't have, the only information we have is information given in Srimad Bhagavatam. If you read the last section of the Bhagavatam after Krishna's pastimes and Krishna's talk to Uddhava, then there's some discussion of the age of Kali and the end of the age of Kali. We got not too many details there. This is an avatar of the Lord who comes at the end of Kali Yuga, and of course Kali Yuga gradually degrades, so becomes more and more uncivilized for the human beings. And then Kalki comes as an avatar with his sword riding on a white horse, and he kills the big demons, the ones who are responsible for the degradation. After that, then everything is purified, the big demons are destroyed, there's a little bit of a rest period, and then everything gets restored, and we start with Satya Yuga, and everything is very wonderful again. So he's the instrument for purifying the world of all the great demons at the end of Kali Yuga, basically. That's what he does. Rupa Goswami says that Kalki actually is a Shaktavesh avatar. He's a jiva with special powers. And the reasoning is that the Lord is known as Triyuga. He appears in 3 yugas. So then what happens in Kali Yuga? Then he can't appear. But he should appear, because Kali Yuga is also got jivas in it and human beings, so the Lord should come, and especially as the Yuga avatar. So he says the usual process is that a Shaktavesh avatar comes. So it's kind of the Lord, but it isn't the Lord. So in that way, the idea of Triyuga, appearing in 3 yugas and not Kali Yuga, is still maintained. At the same time, the Lord does come because he empowers a jiva to guide the people and rescue the people of Kali Yuga. Of course, there are exceptions, and that is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's actually non-different from Krishna, so he's not a Shaktavesh avatar, but he also maintains the status of being, 3 yugas, etc., by covering up his powers. So he's called Chanda avatar, or covered avatar, and he doesn't display all the powers of Supreme Lord. He acts as a devotee, a human being devotee.
Just a quick question about the yugas. Is the entire material creation in Kali Yuga all at the same time?
Is it?
is the entire material creation going through Kali Yuga all at the same time?
Oh, actually, Kali Yuga is for our particular section of Jambudweep, this particular Varsha called Varsha. It's described one place in the Bhagavatam that other places, even on our earthly plane, there's different Varshas in Jambudweep, and then there's other Dweepas. They don't get this effect of Kali Yuga. The cycle of Satya, Treta, Dwarpa, Kali is for our particular Varsha called Varsha, this particular area. Other places don't have it. What to speak of heavenly planets and hellish planets. And so it's just our particular karma or misery that we get all these higher to lower, degradation. Okay. Oh, fine.
One of the questions I had was why the other sampradayas, or one of them, doesn't accept Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
They don't accept Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Huh?
You're saying, is that the question?
One of these sampradayas, I think, is it Nambaka? They don't accept Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Well, we can say that all the other sampradayas, they really don't. They may accept him as some sort of avatar or whatever like that, but they don't give him prominence, at least. Otherwise, they would all become Gaudiyas, followers of Lord Chaitanya. So they accept him in some sort of form. Maybe he's a great saint or whatever. Even in the Vallabha Sampradaya, they call Vallabhacharya Mahaprabhu, and they don't put any emphasis upon Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even though they met at one period of time. So basically, they don't really accept that he is non-different from Krishna, any of the other sampradayas. Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Put that. Put here. Hare Krishna.